What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today we got our updated Week 8 Daniology Power 35 rankings. I'm ready to get started. Just want to say subscribe if you guys are new. Hit that like button if you guys enjoy. We come out with these weekly rankings every single Monday, along with a bunch of other college basketball content as well. So make sure you guys subscribe, and let's get into it. Here it is, our Week 8 Daniology Power rankings. Not too many big changes, but we have a couple of pretty decent sized movers and a new team in the top 10 and one team getting booted out of the top 10. So our top three remain the same. Auburn did nothing but prove more why I have kept them at number one over Tennessee. Now people are starting to put Auburn over Tennessee again at number one. I've always kept Auburn at number one, even after they lost on the road at Duke, and Tennessee is still undefeated. I realize that, but I still think Auburn is the best team in the country, and they proved that again this week. They had a dominating win over Purdue, looked really good. They've been doing that to pretty much everybody, and a lot of really good wins on the season. I think they're the number one team in the country. Number two is Tennessee, though, and they are staying here at number two, as they have been for the last so many weeks. Still undefeated, still playing really good basketball. They did have a scare not too long ago against Illinois, but they found a way to get the win there, even with some of their best players in foul trouble. So that was a really good win for them. They're still undefeated, looking good, heading into SEC play. Iowa State here at number three. Their only loss is a close one to my number one team, Auburn. And other than that, they've looked really good. Even in that game, they looked really good. They're a championship contender. They're staying here at number three. This has been my top three, I think now 3 weeks in a row. And Auburn has been my number one team since like week 2. And now we're in week 8. So they've been holding strong onto that spot. Number 4, we do have the Florida Gators. They got one of their best wins of the season against North Carolina. They've been looking really good, staying undefeated. I thought that North Carolina was going to catch them. It was a very close game, but Florida found a way to get that one done, and they have one of the best guard tandems in the country as far as their guard depth and how many scorers they have at that position. Crazy. They are going to be super. I think that a lot of people were worried, including myself, like, okay, they are undefeated, but they haven't played anybody too good yet. They're starting to prove themselves more and more every week, and I think that they deserve to be at least in the top 10, but I got them all the way up at number 4 right now. Number 5, we do have the Duke Blue Devils. As I mentioned earlier, they did get a win, and the only team to beat Auburn up to this point in the season. They have a couple of losses. They're not bad losses. They've lost to, I believe, Kansas and Kentucky. So not bad losses whatsoever. Those were both close games as well. They have an amazing roster, a lot of really good freshmen, and yeah, some good depth as well. And Duke, actually, I believe they have an underrated defense as well. So they're here in the top 5, jumping up 1 spot from last week. Number 6, jumping up 2 spots, we do have the Oklahoma Sooners, also undefeated. One of 3 undefeated teams left in the SEC, and one of 4, I believe there's only 4 left undefeated in the entire country. So 3 of them coming from the SEC, and the third one is Oklahoma. They looked really good against Michigan. Jeremy Fears is a really underrated freshman that I feel like a lot of people learned his name this past week against Michigan especially. Hit a and one 3-pointer to go up 1 and beat Michigan at the end of the final seconds of that game. And I thought Michigan was going to catch Oklahoma. I thought Florida and Oklahoma were both going to get caught in that Jumpman series, little Air Jordan tournament there. But they both found a way to stay undefeated heading into conference play. So I think that's huge. And that win is going to go a long way for Oklahoma as far as when they get into the tournament. Because I think Oklahoma is a team that might take, some losses for sure in the SEC. I think every team is going to catch some losses in SEC play that's in that league. But I think Oklahoma, they might fall down the seed line a little bit as they go through conference play, but a win like that against Michigan is really going to hold them up into like a top 6-7 seed if they do need it. Number 7, we do have Alabama. They're holding true in that spot. They went on the road at North Dakota. That was a very interesting game where what was his name, Trayson Eaglestaff for North Dakota, dropped 40 on Alabama, but they were able to get that win. That was a cool thing that they did there, go over there for Grant Nelson's like hometown or home state and get that win. It was close, but that's what happens when you're a top 10 team and you go on the road at a mid-major program like that. It's going to be a packed house. It's going to be a tough environment, but Alabama got the win. They're holding true here at number 7. Number 8, jumping up one spot, we got Marquette. They went 2-0 this week. Both Big East games, I believe. I know they beat Xavier in a close one, but that was a true road game at Xavier, so that was a tough one, but they were able to get that one done. And I think their other win was against Butler. So 2-0 in Big East play right now for Marquette. Looking really good. They're up one spot again here at number 8. Number 9, also jumping up one spot, we do have the Oregon Ducks. Oregon, they've been really consistent so far this year. Got a lot of really good wins. Their only loss is to UCLA off of a buzzer beater. So if Dylan Andrews doesn't hit, a bank shot 3 at the final seconds of that game, Oregon would still be undefeated right now. And they got some good, solid wins also on the season as well. So they're here at number 9. Number 10, we do have Texas A&M. I feel like Texas A&M has like one of the more underrated resumes so far in college basketball right now. They've played, a decent non-con schedule, and they've held up with it. So I've been really impressed with Texas A&M this year because it always seems like, okay, this is the year. They got Wade Taylor. Buzz Williams is a good coach. This is going to be the year they finally, get a top 5, top 4 seed in March Madness and maybe can make a run. But they always struggle in the non-con and pick it up towards the end of conference play. But this year, they've really done a good job in the non-con, and yeah, they're in my top 10, jumping into the 10th spot this week. Number 11, jumping up one spot, we do have the Kansas Jayhawks. They got a big one coming up here, entering Big 12 play against West Virginia. That's going to be an interesting matchup for both teams. I'm excited to see how that one goes, but they're up one spot here this week. They're trying to get back into the top 10. Number 12, dropping out of our top 10 from number 4 all the way down to number 12, dropping 8 spots, is the Kentucky Wildcats. They took a tough loss in Madison Square Garden, neutral game against Ohio State. They lost by 20 in that one. That was a bad game there for Kentucky, and I really didn't expect that at all because Ohio State's a team that's kind of been getting beat up a little bit from certain teams. So I thought, if Ohio State did win that game, it was going to be a close one. Huge win for Ohio State, by the way, but yeah, Kentucky's going to have to fall a little bit of spots for that one, so they're out of the top 10 here. Number 13, our 4th undefeated team in Division I basketball. It is the Drake Bulldogs. Most people kind of rank them, at the highest in the 20s to 30s. But I got them up here at 13. They found a way to keep winning. They beat another Big 12 team this week in Kansas State. Or I think that's the first Big 12 team they beat, but they beat another Power 5 team in Kansas State. I know Kansas State's kind of pooped this year, but still, that's Drake. They're staying undefeated, and they found a way to beat Kansas State as well. Looking really good, and unless Bradley's the only one who can stop them in the Missouri Valley Conference, and Bradley's actually a pretty good team, but Drake is looking like they're going to be back in March Madness with a completely new team that they had from last year. Number 14, we do have Michigan State up 2 spots here. They've been killing it lately. They didn't have a bad Maui Invitational whatsoever. They actually played pretty decent in that tournament. But ever since the Maui tournament, they haven't lost a single game. They played a couple of Big Ten games as well. Looking really good. Watch out for Sparty. They could be a sleeper this year for sure. UConn back up into the top 15, up 3 spots here. And they're picking up more solid victories, man. 2 Big East wins this past weekend. They haven't lost since they went 0-3 in that Maui Invitational, the same one Michigan State was in. And they've done it by getting some solid wins against Baylor, against Texas, and Gonzaga, and 2 wins in the Big East play. UConn is looking very, very good lately, and Liam McNeely especially seems like he's taken another step since the Maui Invitational, and I think he's averaging like 18, 5, and 5 recently, so he's really taken off as like the main star of this team. Vanderbilt's up one spot, still only one loss on the season to my number 13 team, Drake. I think Vandy, a lot of people underrating them a little bit. They haven't played the best non-con schedule, but they'll have to prove it here soon. They'll be tested because they play in the SEC conference, which is by far the best conference in college basketball this year. There's so many good teams in the SEC. We're probably going to see at least 12 teams make it to the March Madness tournament from the SEC conference. I believe the record is like 2011 UConn with 2011 UConn won that natty, but 2011 Big East Conference, I believe, had the most teams at 11. And I think the SEC is going to beat that record this year, and Vanderbilt will for sure soon be tested as we get into league play. Maryland at number 17, up 3 spots. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Maryland. They have a solid team, and Derek Queen is a very underrated freshman that has been dominating team after team this year. They have good guards who can shoot the ball as well. Maryland, definitely a sleeper. They're going to be like that 4 to 6 seed in the NCAA tournament that I might pick to make a little bit of a run. Georgia at number 18, only one loss on the season. They're kind of similar to Vanderbilt. They do have a really good win against St. John's. Their only losses to Marquette. But Georgia is kind of similar to Vanderbilt, where they will be tested in SEC conference play here very soon. So will Mississippi State, but they, got a really good win on the road. It was a test in the non-con against Memphis this past week. That was why they're one of my higher jumpers this week, jumping up 6 spots into the top 20 at number 19. Mississippi State looking really good in the non-con. Just another one of those teams in the SEC, man. Like I'm saying, they're going to get at least 11, 12 teams in the tournament this year. Mississippi State will be one of them. They're up 6 spots. Number 20, we got Dayton falling 7 spots from 13 down to number 20. They took a loss to Cincinnati at home, but I didn't want to make them fall too far because they did pick up that big win at home against Marquette not too long ago. That was a massive win in my opinion, and they've been playing really good ball. They got some solid wins this season. They beat Marquette. They beat UConn. Those are the 2 top teams in the Big East. Dayton's beaten them both. I would love to see Dayton join the Big East Conference within the next few years. I think that would be a perfect fit for both the league and the program there. But yeah, Dayton falling 7 spots here, number 20. Number 21 is Gonzaga. They remain in the same spot as last week. Same with number 22. We got San Diego State there. And number 23, we're jumping up 1 spot. We got the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss is a team kind of similar to Georgia and Vanderbilt, but even more so because they haven't played that good of a non-con schedule. Ole Miss will be tested in league play coming up, but they're here at 23. Number 24, we got St. John's. Up 2 spots here. They got a good win in Big East play. I believe they played on the road at Providence. Good win there for St. John's because playing on the road at Providence is not an easy place to play at all. Number 25, jumping up 14 spots. My highest jumper of the week is Cincinnati. They got a true road win against Dayton, just right up the state there in Ohio, but was able to go on the road in a tough environment and get that win. Biggest win of the season so far, I think, for Cincinnati. You could say Xavier's was better, but I think Dayton's a better team than Xavier, and they beat Xavier at home, whereas so they beat Dayton on the road. I think that was the biggest win of the season for Cincinnati, and yeah, they jumped up 14 spots. The last few weeks, I did a power 40 instead of a power 35, so they were 39 last week. They jump all the way up to 25. Number 26, we got Illinois jumping up 1 spot. Illinois has been playing some really good basketball. I've been really impressed with their freshmen that they've had on the season. They have been playing outstanding, and this may be one of the better Illinois teams, honestly, that we have seen. It seems like they are always retooling and having another really good team there, and they're always competitive in the Big Ten over the past so many years. Houston jumping up 3 spots. They did not do good on the harder part of their non-con schedule, so they're going to really have to have a good, a good record in conference play in the Big 12 for them to get a top seed. But still, Houston has a solid team right now. They're up 3 spots here at 27. I'm interested to see them play some of these other really good teams in the Big 12. 28, we got Memphis dropping. I think they're my biggest faller that is remaining ranked, and they're dropping 13 spots. They lost a home game to Mississippi State. Talked about it earlier. It was such a good win for Mississippi State, but it seems like Memphis is so inconsistent because earlier in the week they went on the road and beat Virginia, which even though Virginia's not having that great of a year this year, that's still, a tough place to play, and they're a gritty defense, and they were able to get that win. So I didn't want to make them fall too far because they did get that win, but this is kind of a readjustment because I think I made them jump up too high the previous week, and now they kind of are getting readjusted for that. So I feel like this is a good spot for Memphis right now. It is right here around 28. Number 29, we do have the Baylor Bears. They're jumping up 6 spots. This kind of area, teams are moving up and down as just kind of an adjustment points, kind of based on just my own personal eye test watching these teams. And I feel like Baylor is still a very solid team. I decided to have them jump up 6 spots. And not only eye test wise do I think Baylor deserves to be in the top 30 right now, but they also beat Arkansas. Arkansas beat Michigan. Michigan beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin beat Pitt. Pitt beat West Virginia. It all kind of lines out perfectly down the list from 29 to 35, with UCLA thrown in there as well, who is dropping 6 spots due to their recent loss here yesterday to North Carolina. So UCLA did fall for that one. They had that win and they blew it at the end. That was a huge win for North Carolina, who is now on my teams to watch, which we will go over in just a second. But yeah, West Virginia entering Big 12 play. Excited to see what they have to do are going to do against Kansas in their Big 12 opener. No Tucker DeVries, I believe, for the rest of the season. I'm hoping he will be able to come back towards the end of the year, but we will see. UCLA, really good defense, was unable to hold on against North Carolina. Pitt has been playing really good. I think that they had a really good non-conference, and they're going to be one of the top teams in the ACC this year. They should make the tournament no problem. Wisconsin, they were, I was kind of high on them, but I feel like this is more the range that they are in my opinion. So after they took those few losses there to Michigan and I believe so Illinois, it kind of makes sense that they're around this area after a really hot start for them. But yeah, guys, that is the Power 35 teams to watch for next week. We got Missouri. They just lost to Illinois in a very close one. I believe in St. Louis it was on a neutral court. It was on a neutral court. I was watching that game, but I'm not sure. I believe it was in St. Louis. Clemson took a tough loss to South Carolina in the rival game on the road. Went to overtime. Chase Hunter, that was a clutch shot, man. A crazy shot, but they were unable to get it done. They fall out of the rankings, but they are my teams to watch still. Ohio State with a big 20-point win over Kentucky. Biggest win of the season for them so far. That is 2 good non-con wins for Ohio State against them in Texas. But they have taken, some brutal losses as well. Like a massive loss to Maryland by a bunch of points, a massive loss to Auburn by a bunch of points, who are both top 20 teams. One of them is my number 1 team. So I think Ohio State would still make the tournament if they started it today because of that Kentucky win. But they are my teams to watch. University of California, San Diego, UCSD. They have been on a tear recently, beating Utah State in a bye game. I believe they only have 2 losses on the season, and one of them is to San Diego State. Not such a bad loss there. Look out for UC San Diego. Arizona State 9-2 heading into conference play. They have a decent resume. They played some decent teams, and one of their losses is to Gonzaga. Pretty good team. Look out for Arizona State. I think they're a sleeper in the Big 12. North Carolina just knocked off UCLA. They're back on my teams to watch. They've just lost pretty much all of their big games this year, so they really needed that one against UCLA. That was a huge win for them, but I believe they have the team that will make the NCAA tournament. I believe they are probably the 3rd best team in the ACC, which the ACC isn't strong, but they should get at least 3 or 4 teams into the tournament. Penn State's a decent team in the Big Ten. Look out for them. They do have a really good home environment and a team that plays a lot of really good defense, including their point guard, Ace Baldwin. He is just a bulldog point guard that is going to play tough D and force a lot of turnovers. So that is always good to have on your team. And finally, Liberty. UC San Diego and Liberty, I wanted to show them some love in the teams to watch because they are really good mid-majors this year. Didn't want to put them in my rankings over some of these really good power teams, but super good mid-majors. Look out for Liberty. Look out for UC San Diego. They're playing some really good basketball right now. But that is it for the Week 8 Daniology Power 35. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Who is too high, who's too low, and who got snubbed off the list. Let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, guys, make sure you guys subscribe. We do these every single week along with a bunch of other college basketball content. And thank you so much for watching.